Darkness Falls is a 2003 creature feature directed by... Is it a creature feature, though? I think it's more of a supernatural horror movie. Well, it's an evil spirit. That counts as a creature, doesn't it? And also... Don't interrupt my intro! Sorry. On you go, lad. Right. Let's try this again. Darkness Falls is a 2003 supernatural horror movie / creature feature directed by Jonathan Liebesman. The residents of a small town become haunted by an evil spirit seeking revenge, which takes the form of a twisted version of the Tooth Fairy. But before we get into this calcium caper, I just want to ask that if you end up enjoying this video, then please think about hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel. And if you do, make sure to hit the bell icon so you never miss any of my videos. It would really help me out. So thanks. Also, there will be full spoilers ahead, but if that doesn't bother you, then grab your toothpaste-flavoured popcorn and whip out your favourite dog with dentures as we dive into... Darkness Falls. So the movie begins with ye old exposition dump as we learn the origins of our evil Tooth Fairy.
Matilda Dixon was adored by all the children.
Well, except Peter, because he was a little tosser.
Whenever one of them lost a tooth, they would bring it to her.
In exchange for...
penny whistles and moon pies.
But one day she fell asleep with her head in the fireplace and ended up with a very crispy face, which made her allergic to light, so she decided to wear the scariest mask they had in the scary mask shop. Then some kids went missing for an hour or so, which made the whole town decide to lynch the kind old lady because they were impatient and prone to overreacting. So as she was dying, she cursed the town, saying, "I'm gonna come back Freddy Krueger style and kill your kids." But not in their dreams, because that's already been done, so I'll get them after they lose their last baby tooth. Even though it was the parents she hated and not the kids, so doesn't really make much sense, does it? Fast forward a couple of 100 years and we see this kid getting tucked into bed by his mum, but he gets up to put his last baby tooth on the dresser, when all of a sudden the girl he likes from school climbs in through his bedroom window. Wish I had girls climbing in through my bedroom window at night when I was young. Only thing I got was me cat, and it scared the living shit out of me. Anyway, she says...
So, a bunch of us are going swimming at the choir. Do you want to come?
No thanks, I'd rather not go swimming in the middle of the night, you maniac. So before she leaves, she puts his last baby tooth under the pillow and says...
Remember, when the Tooth Fairy comes...
try not to die.
Thanks for the advice.
A short time later, Lado is woken up from his sleep after hearing a creepy noise and looks around his room thinking, "Damn shadows, I gotta get myself some blackout curtains next time I'm in the curtain shop." Which'll probably be never. So he does the next best thing and goes under the bed covers. But the creepy noise gets closer and closer, so he grabs his trusty flashlight and peeks out to find...
Tarnished, are we? Come to the lands between for the Elden Ring?
No, I'm just a kid lying in bed, which is now drenched in piss. The kid screams and his mum hears him, so she goes to investigate. But tell me, who the hell has a hallway that bloody long in their house? Christ, you'd need a packed lunch just to get to the end of the bastard. Anyway, the kid jump scares his mum and tells her about the masked apparition, but she says...
there is no one in this house but us.
And the rubber in your kitchen. Oh shit, yeah, it's just you two. Oh, I think I've just about got away with that. So his mum goes to check his room without turning the light on because she's a dumbass. And of course, as soon as she says...
there's nothing to be afraid of.
she gets killed by the Tooth Fairy. The kid retreats to the safety of the bathroom where the light is already on. And the Tooth Fairy bashes the door open, creeping above the doorframe like, "Come on out. I'm not gonna hurt you." That's a lie, isn't it? Heh yeah. Hang on, this thing just opened the bathroom door, right? So it can interact with things. So why doesn't it just turn off the house's fuse box? Because then the kid would perish and we wouldn't have a protagonist for him to grow into who looks nothing like him. That'll be why. Sometime later the emergency services show up and the police come to the conclusion that this 13-year-old kid broke his mum's neck for absolutely no reason. So he gets sent to an insane asylum for kids or something. Then we crossfade to 12 years later and my ass would that kid look like her in 12 years. Anyway, I'm going to call her Mole, because that's her favourite animal. So she's at a hospital where her younger brother, Mini Mole, is being looked after because he hasn't had a decent night's sleep in 3 weeks because he's afraid of the dark. 3 weeks? I don't think I've had a decent night's sleep in 3 years. And I know it's not a long-term solution, but why doesn't he just sleep with the bloody light on? So besides being an Egypt, the doctors can't find anything wrong with him.
We've run every test possible.
Did you test for rabies? No, but... or how about phantom limb syndrome? Well, no, but... then you're a liar! Elsewhere, we see the boy from the beginning, all grown up, and again has zero similarity to the kid he once was. In fact, he looks a bit like Marky Mark, but more gruff. So I'm going to call him Barky Bark. and he's thinking, damn it, I still don't have enough batteries. I'm going to have to go to the battery shop to buy some more batteries to put with my batteries. While he's organising his flashlights and medicine collection, he gets a phone call from Mole, who tells him about her brother's condition, which is similar to what he went through after his mum died.
I just thought maybe you could tell me how you got over it.
Well, it's probably better if I tell you in person. Oh, okay. We're at the St. Francis Hospital. Yeah, I know. I'm already in the room talking to your brother now. What? Oh, wow, that was fast. Well, they don't call me Bark Speed for nothing. Now, go on, give me a hug. It's been bloody ages since I've seen you.
I can't believe you came.
Again, they don't call me Bark Speed for nothing. So, how did you overcome your fear of the dark? Okay, this is going to sound crazy, but hear me out. I never did get over it because the evil tooth fairy which killed my mum is still haunting me to this day. You need to stop watching so many movies, you overactive imagination bastard. Oh, I knew you wouldn't believe me. Right, I'm leaving. Where?
Look, Queen, just wait a minute, please.
No, I've got to deliver these flowers before the patient therefore dies. Oh, bollocks. Say, mister, you want to buy some flowers for the lady? Then Mole's husband shows up, who I'm going to call Lukewarm. So Barky says he's going to take off, but Lukewarm wants to go out for a drink with him.
I don't drink. One drink's not going to kill anybody, right?
Would if you drowned in it. So they go to the local tavern and Luke buys him half a pint of lager. Half a pint? You may as well have bought him a Smirnoff Ice with a straw. Be a real man and go and get him a gin and tonic. And don't you dare forget the slice of lemon. Anyway, Luke asks Barky why he's back in town, but he gets distracted by this guy who's like, oh no, I accidentally spilt an entire pitcher on your tits.
Whoopsie daisy!
So Barky tells him he came back to see if he can help Mole's brother, and also because he missed how friendly the locals are.
What the hell are you doing back here, freak?
Then Captain Caveman throws his pathetic half pint over him and says,
You want a piece? Oh, yeah. You guys see that, huh?
He decided not to get into a fight for no reason. What a loser. But Captain Caveman isn't finished displaying his dominance yet, so he goes, Captain Caveman! And knocks the two of them down a hill into the forest below, where he starts drunkenly wailing on Barky. But Barky sees the Tooth Fairy in the darkness, which gives him panic strength, and he gives Captain Caveman a whooping, before taking off with a flashlight going, oh my god, I gotta get out of this forest before the Tooth Fairy kills me! Ah! So Captain Caveman stands up and says,
These are my woods. Nobody messes with me.
Except the bears, who I steer clear of for obvious reasons. Oh, and wolves because Then we see a full-on search party looking for the two guys, not even 5 minutes after they rolled down the hill. But they only end up finding Captain Caveman, with Lukewarm like, oh my god, something scratched his face to death! Back at the hospital, Mole is going through a picture book of people looking scared, when Barky shows up saying, Barky bumped his noggin. Will you check on Barky brain, please? So she does, but then the police turn up and take him down to the station wagon outside so they can make their way to the station to get some gas and then drive to the station, otherwise known as the police base.
What's with all the flashlights?
I collect flashlights. Oh, well, I guess that explains it then, doesn't it? What, do you want me to lie? No, I mean it. Your answer was sufficient. So the police hold him on suspicion of murder, but don't bother checking beneath his nails for blood or even what his motive would be. Barky says he wants a lawyer, so they put him in a jail cell while Mole goes back to the hospital to see her brother, who is once again trying to sleep in a mostly dark room. I mean, for God's sake, just keep the big light on! Or sleep through the day, you little bellend! Obviously, he ends up getting scratched by the Tooth Fairy, and his sister finds him cowering in a bathroom, which seems to be the only room in this universe which has a decent light in it. Mole then speaks to Dr. Psychologist, who says they're going to put her brother in a sensory deprivation chamber to make him face his fear, which even if the Tooth Fairy wasn't real sounds like the stupidest idea ever. Imagine if he had a fear of spiders. I don't think lowering him into a bathtub full of spiders would help him face that fear now, would it? Back to Barky, where Lukewarm bails him out of jail, and he immediately goes to the hardware store to buy some flashlights to feed his addiction. Would you like any flashlights to go with your flashlights, sir? Yes. How many would you like? Yes. So Barky tells Luke to take him back to the hospital, but once they're on the road, the sun sets and he realises Luke is taking him out of town instead.
Turn this car around now.
But he doesn't listen, so Barky pulls a gun on him, before the Tooth Fairy flies in front of the car and it crashes into a tree! Oh! That's why people wear seatbelts! Oh! Then the Tooth Fairy swoops down and snatches Lukewarm out of the car, while Barky just shuffles around on the ground like, oh no, what do I do? What do I do? After seeing Luke get slammed and dragged away, he gets back in the car and drives off, without wearing a bloody seatbelt!
Well, we'll put that on the list along with stupid!
Back at the hospital, and they're about to put Mini Mole into the sensory deprivation chamber, which looks a lot like an MRI scanner to me. But what the hell do I know? I'm not a hospital machine scientist. He starts going in, but then we hear the Tooth Fairy growling in the darkness saying, "Ooh, I'm gonna get you, boy. But I'm also gonna wait until you're fully in to give someone the chance to save you at the last second." And Barky bursts in to save him at the last second. Damn it! I knew I shouldn't have waited, before the cops show up and arrest Barky again. Although I'm not sure what for, because they don't even know Lukewarm is dead yet. Anyway, Barky tries to convince Officer Grown-Up that there's a supernatural entity after both him and Minimole, but he believes him about as much as I believe Game of Thrones ended on a high note. Which it did not.
How many unsolved murders you had around here? Not just this year, but in the last 100.
2. Really? Only 2? Man, I thought there would be more than that. Wait a minute, are you pulling my leg? I've got my own leg to pull, thank you very much. Oh, shit. Ow. Can't actually get out. Oh. Oh, bollocks. How the hell should I know how many unsolved murders there's been? What do I look like, a policeman? Now shut up while I order a pizza. Hello? Pizza shop? Yeah, I want an anchovy pizza with no fish on it. What do you mean that's impossible? Fine, I'll have a meat-free meat feast then. What do you mean the power's gonna go out? Oh, great. How am I supposed to eat my inside-out calzone in the dark? Okay, so now we have definitive proof that it can turn off a building's power. So why didn't it do that at the beginning of the movie? Yes, I believe the writers didn't think that far ahead. Thankfully, the backup lights come on before Barky flips out. And in the hospital, Minimole says the first optimistic thing he said all movie.
We're all gonna die.
Then we hear something breaking into the police station. And then all hell breaks loose as the Tooth Fairy starts wrecking the joint.
Don't shoot the lights! Begging you, shoot the lights!
Clever girl.
Officer Grown-Up passes Barky the keys to get out, and he gets to his bag of flashlights, whips out a couple of big uns and shoos off the ghostly git. He then says it's going to go for Mole's brother, which you'd think he would have done first, but hey-ho. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Mole and Minimole are hiding underneath the hospital bed because it'll never find them there. And also, the police station has emergency backup power, but the hospital doesn't. It's a good job hospitals don't have any equipment reliant on electricity to keep folk alive then, isn't it? But then all of a sudden the bed starts bouncing up and down like a really happy dog. So they leg it and make it to the elevator, which wouldn't work because there's no power, is there? And just as the Tooth Fairy is about to get them, the doors open and Barky scops a flare in its face. So they ride the elevator down, which I guess means the building still has power, just no emergency lighting. But the lift jolts to a stop and the Tooth Fairy breaks through the ceiling like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you now, unless you've got another flare, which you do! Ah, retreat!" Then the door opens and some of the hospital staff help them get out of the lift. But the angry apparition starts cutting the cables and Barky makes it out just in time before the lift falls. Phew, if that dropped 1 second sooner, I would have been on sale at 50% off. The hospital staff are both shocked and confused and ask,
"What is going on?"
When this hospital goes dark, we're all dead.
That's not a valid explanation, that's just being morbid. So they make their way out of the hospital and, oh, there are some emergency lights at the end of a maintenance tunnel. How useful.
Oh, by the way, I was being sarcastic.
So they're going to have to shimmy along these pipes to stay in the light. And despite only telling them to stay in the light a few seconds ago, Nurse Donkey decides to run into the dark and gets thrown into a wall and knocked out. I'd just leave her, to be honest. Carry on shimmying, everyone. Carry on shimmying. Then the emergency lights go off and one of the staff gets snatched, so they all just leg it through the dark anyway. They make it to a staircase, but more of the lights are going out, so they're going to have to jump to the bottom. On the first jump, Nurse Donkey gets snatched mid-air, which was probably for the best, as I reckon she would have broke her ankles when she landed anyway. Now there's only one more set of stairs to go, and who's going to get killed this time? Our chiseled hero or Dr. Squelch? Oh, the doc made it. That is surprising. With Barky awkwardly landing halfway, which he seems oddly cheerful about. Run! 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 So Mole goes up to help him, but then the last of the lights go out, and they're about to be scratched to death, but then... So they all hop in Officer Grown-Up's car and take off towards the town's lighthouse, which will hopefully keep them safe until morning. That's if they even make it there, as the Tooth Fairy breaks through the car windows and snatches Dr. Squelch, because silly old Officer Grown-Up forgot to put the bloody siren lights on. So the others hold her off with torches until they arrive. Once they get to the lighthouse, they make their way up and fill the generator with gas, making sure to spill as much of it as they can. Then they get to the top and power up the big light, which stays on for about 5 seconds till the power goes out. So Barky and Officer Grown-Up need to go back down and fix the fuel blockage.
All this over a fucking tooth.
Well, it's not really about a tooth, is it? She wants revenge for being murdered, so that's slightly different. Anyway, they find the leak in the fuel line and try and tie it shut, but Officer Grown-Up needs to lean out of the light to give Barky more light so he can see what he's doing, which means he gets snatched almost immediately, and Barky falls to the bottom, getting his arm soaked in kerosene in the process. Back up top, Mole's lantern is also running out of fuel, but not to worry, Mini Mole has a glow stick and is somewhat afraid to use it. This keeps them about as safe as a banana peel condom, and Mole gets grabbed by the ghastly ghost, but then Barky scups his lantern at it, which saves her but pisses the Tooth Fairy right off. So Barky has to flip the lighthouse switch before the burning lantern oil runs out, but he can't quite reach it. So Mini Mole flips the switch instead. Then the light comes on and the Tooth Fairy vanishes in a big flash of light. She isn't dead, is she? Oh no, she is, Ken. She is. What are you doing with your eye? Oh, nothing. I've just got the usual eye twitch that I usually have. So Barky goes up to the top and gets grabbed by the sneaky spirit, accidentally breaking the big light as he flails for his life. He also manages to rip off the Tooth Fairy's mask, revealing her horrifying true form.
You one ugly motherfucker.
And her mask shatters on the floor with bits of porcelain and children's teeth flying everywhere. Free calcium! Get your free calcium over here! But Barky's had just about enough of this fiendish fairy, so he sets his kerosene arm ablaze and says the same thing I said when I won a game of hide and seek with my grandma's dog.
I see you, bitch!
And he gives her a flaming schmack in the chops, which sends her soul screaming back to hell. So the day is saved, our trio will probably never sleep again, and we'll never get to see them explain to the authorities how an entire town's police force and hospital staff were killed. End of movie. And there we have it, folks. Darkness Falls is a short but sweet supernatural horror movie, which doesn't do anything particularly original, but is still pretty damn entertaining thanks to the terrifying creature at its core. To be honest, I think I'm a bit biased towards this one, as Darkness Falls was actually the first straight-up horror movie I saw in the cinema, and it scared the shit out of me back then. I find it much less scary now, though, but it is still just as fun to watch. So, Darkness Falls, what did you think of it? Did you like it? Did you loathe it? Let me know in the comments below while I turn off the lights to see what happens. Oh my god, what is that? Oh, sorry. That was just me snoring. I must have dozed off. Oh, thank God for that. Ken. No, that wasn't me. Ah!